Hello, can everybody hear me? Hello, hello. Shit. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
I'm letting them out. So okay.
Okay. Everybody hear me? Hello? Is there anybody out there? Hello, hello, hello? Can you guys hear me? Ah, there we are. There we are. There we are. Perfect, perfect. All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. This is a live 420 session. This should be interesting. This should be very interesting. You said it's loud? My bad. I'm sorry. Let's try to tone it down. How about that? All right. So UFOs. UFOs. Roger Lear. Dr. Roger Lear used to do these things when he used to do surgeries. Roger Lear used to be freaked out about the UFO thing, meaning he was a doctor, he didn't want to touch it. He didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So what he would do is he would say, surgeries. I don't do anything with this UFO stuff, I just do surgeries. Now, because of, oh, right, video sucks. All right, let's see, how can we change video quality? It was using my other camera. Wait. Let me see. All right. Yeah, that didn't work. Crap. What about this? Give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to change the quality of the camera itself. And this is doing weird stuff. All right, I'm going to leave it because this is going to get ridiculous. So let's go back to Roger Lear. Roger Lear didn't like the UFO stuff. Roger Lear he probably liked it. He just didn't want to tarnish his reputation with it. So ultimately, what he would end up doing is saying, I'm just doing surgeries. Meaning, no, I don't want to be associated with this UFO stuff, but I am doing surgeries to pull out items that were left inside of people who's claimed to be from UFOs. So you can see this kind of ridiculousness with this. He's dancing on the head of a pin. I'm a doctor. I don't have anything to do with this UFO stuff. I'm just doing surgeries. All right, Roger, that's great. What kind of surgeries are you doing? I'm pulling out artifacts that people are saying are left to by UFOs. But I'm not saying they're UFOs. I'm just saying I'm pulling out artifacts. And look, he has a massive collection. Now, the reason I'm bringing up Roger Lear is because Roger Lear was in Turkey. And when Roger Lear was in Turkey, he ended up walking out of a conference. And he saw what I'm about to show you. This is real. Turkish universities have reviewed it, and it's come back. It's real. It's not a fraudulent video. The reason why I did that long, laborious thing about Roger Lear is because ultimately Roger Lear didn't like to talk about this stuff. And yet Roger Lear was the one who caught the footage. He was the one that caught the footage. Now, documentation analysis. I don't have the Turkish documentation. More information in regards to some of the research that was done. In fact, let me show you the video first, because the video is mind-blowing. And again, this is one of those things where I lean towards the side of Roger Lear being somewhat truthful, because Roger Lear was terrified of this stuff. He was scared it was going to touch his reputation. Roger Lear's dead at this point. But there's a bunch of these guys that was at the conference, and this thing kept coming back over and over and over again. This video is mind-blowing. This video is mind-blowing. And again, I make this point that it's real. And look it up yourself. Don't take my word for it. I will even put the link for the video. So screen share this. I think it's like 3 minutes long. So let's see, screen share. Yes. Yes. And yes. Come on. All right, come on. Oh, I can't play it there. Gotta play it here. All right. So this is just a craft. This is what they saw. Now, this gets weirder as it goes on. And again, this is amazing to me because Roger Lear did not want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, at least not reputation-wise. By the way, if you got him, then now is the time to inhale. This is what they saw when they digged into the analysis of the footage. Damn. I don't know how to change over. How do I change over? How do I change over? How do I change over? You guys can hear that. All right, ultimately, he's just talking about the footage, if you can't hear it. Yeah, if you can't hear it, he's just talking about the footage. All right, so I'm also... He's essentially saying, I walked out, and that's what I saw. And these are the pictures and everything else. Because, of course, they're going to analyze the pictures. These guys are UFO, you know, they're heavy into the UFO culture, subculture. Now, this man who was under normal circumstances, terrified of talking about UFOs, is up there, grinning from ear to ear, talking about UFOs. All right, that's about enough. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, duh. All right. Personally, I think that's badass. I think that's badass. So the first time I saw that video, it was kind of a holy shit. It was holy shit. It was somewhat of a red pill. Now the question becomes, and this is an interesting question. Let's not assign any motives. Let's not even say it's real. Let's say it's just phenomena, whatever the phenomena is. But certainly there's something there. Like there's some phenomena. Too grainy my ass. Come on, are you serious? He was doing a close-up of the image. It wasn't a they were outside at night. Oh man, you guys are killing me. You guys are killing me. I'm gonna put the link for this video. Where's the link for this video? So you guys can see it for yourself. Even if you type in Roger Lear, Turkey, UFO, this will come up. In fact, because there's other videos that are longer. Roger Lear, UFO. Now, here's the question. Benefit of the doubt. Let's say it's what we think it is. No, it's not a self-made drone. Roger, you guys are killing me, man. You guys are killing me. Fine, I give you the benefit of the doubt. Just give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it is for what it is, just for the sake of the conversation. Well, I can actually give you specs on what kind of camera and everything else it was. I'll put the link in. There's more detailed information in regards to what they were doing, camera, and all this other stuff that I can put into the link. Also, again, Turkish universities analyzed the stuff and they came back saying, yes, this footage is real. There's no monkeying around with the footage. Yes, the phenomena can be military-industrial complex. It's true. That is true. I mean, who knows the technology that they have? We spend $1 trillion in military, not to mention black budgets. Who knows what it is? Who knows what it is? So I'm not on this bandwagon of, this is a UFO, goddamn, this is a UFO. That's not what I meant. That's not even the question I'm trying to pose. Two questions. Let's say, give it the benefit of the doubt, and let's say that is a craft from another planet with people on that ship. Why are they here? How did they get here? Both of those are important questions. Meaning, how did they get here? They didn't use gas. What are they using to get from one part of the universe to the other? Not just that. How do we know they're even in our reality frame? How do we know they're even, as human beings, our understanding of this stuff is nil. Ultimately, we look up, we see something, and our understanding of reality is easily shaped by our events. And just for add one more question to that. What if they were here for beneficial reasons? I mean, what if they were here to help in some way? How would we know? And how could something outside of our solar system, if they wanted to help this planet, how could they actually help this planet? Oh, I didn't say the footage was real. I'm saying the footage themselves. There's no monkeying with the style UFAP. I'm not saying the footage is real or otherwise. I'm saying the footage is real itself. I'm saying what they're looking at. You can contest, put it this way, you can contest what they're looking at. You can say what they're seeing is not a UFO or what they're seeing is a drone. Well, you can do that. But the footage itself is real. That's not interdimensional technology. So here's the thing. This is one of those things I've studied. I'm fascinated by it. One of the guys who studied this phenomenon, he came up with this theory of interdimensional beings. He was saying, look, these things may not necessarily be crafts. These things may be images of crafts, but not necessarily the crafts themselves. Ultimately, they could be something that doesn't necessarily fit into our reality frame, that's creating a phenomena. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a ship. It gets absolutely bizarre. It gets absolutely bizarre. Like, okay, let me go back to the question. If beings from another planet wanted to help this planet, how would they go about doing it? Well, yeah, right, exactly. I'm assuming they want to help. I'm assuming they're coming to this planet for whatever reason. Let's say they've known about Earth forever, since our beings. Hell, let's go to the next step and say they seeded the planet. All this is just conjecture. So fuck it, let's have an conjecture. Seeded the planet. How do we know? How would they help us? How would you, as some other being? No, stop. You're killing me, killing me. What I'm saying is the footage is real. And you can contest what they're looking at. You can make things like that. But ultimately, the footage has been studied. The footage has been deemed real. That's not CGI. All right, so let me get back to the main question. Is having some feelings about this question. Details of the question. Benefit of the doubt, Stallion. Benefit of the doubt. Right. How would it would be dependent on their capabilities? Fair enough. But what would their capabilities have to be to help? What would their capabilities have to be to help? Exactly. Exactly. I can't pronounce your name, but I agree with you. Ultimately, any situation that you're in, anything that they do, is going to be seen through the lens of us. They know us very well. Let's say, for the most part, they seeded us. They took their own DNA, merged the two. Hell, let's say a rock from Mars, after some explosion in space, landed on Earth, seeding Earth. Let's say there was a civilization on Mars hundreds of millions of years ago, in some weird way. Let's say these other beings found us in our infancy, and for the most part, they've been coming back. So how would they help? How would they help? Like, what would you do to help humanity in that sense? So how would they help? Come on, give me some answers. How would they help? Yeah, they seeded and monitored us, and they saw we going off the rails. And look, he's making a good point. You know, there was a lot of missile things during the time of the Cold War. All of these crafts would start showing up around missile silos. You have testimony from military guys saying, yeah, they shut our missiles down. They shut our missiles down. You have other testimony from guys who were flying. They opened UFO files in Britain and France. They opened them. So you can see these cases with these pilots of flying and having these dogfights of sorts where they're flying after these objects. This whole concept of Foo Fighters back in Germany, World War II. Germany would say, holy shit, the United States has some amazing technology that's following us. The United States would, holy shit, Germany has some amazing technology that's following us. They call these things Foo Fighters. They would follow the planes and whatnot. All right, so Kevin Sharple, how would they do that? How would they do that? So say, for instance, Roswell happened. And say, for instance, the Roswell crash hit the ground. Technology was taken from Roswell and it was put into these other areas. Did that technology benefit humanity, or did that technology benefit a very section of humanity? Which one? The answer is it benefited a tiny section of humanity. What I'm getting at is, I'm playing devil's advocate on this because my answer is there's no way to help them. That's my answer. My answer is it is fundamentally impossible to help humanity in that way. Ultimately, anything that you do will be seen through the lens of humanity itself. Humanity has certain vagaries that are built within this capitalist model. Our behavior is conditioned to it. There's no way for us to be able to accept it. There's no way for us to understand it. It's going to be seen. Like, think about it this way. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They benefited while we lost. So say, for instance, they gave us clean energy. Let's say they say, hey, look, you guys are going to fucking kill yourselves. These beings. Here's clean energy. What do you think is going to happen to the clean energy? It's going to get privatized. It's going to get sold. Now, they may have it at an energy plant that people are going to have to pay for it. But ultimately, those beings who gave it to us, they didn't give it to us for the idea of this profit. They gave it to us for everybody. That's what I'm saying. Anything that happens will be seen through the lens of us. And that's a problem. Our lens is immensely corrupted. Our lens is immensely corrupted. Or look, shoot me down. Tell me a way in which they can help. I'm unclear. Like, I'm massively unclear on a way for them to actually substantively do something. Okay, fair enough. All right. I'm a little bit out there, data lore, but fair enough. I'm digging the name. How can you do that? How can you monitor us so the elites don't screw us over? I'm making the point that you can't. No, It's not like Interstellar. That movie was mediocre. That movie was mediocre. How? What are non-disruptive technologies? Oh, so you're saying don't tell anybody, just to the planet themselves. I'm talking about Garden Gnome. That's going to murder a lot of people, these diesel tests. You're talking about killing a lot of people. That's that's going to hurt. Now, Garden Gnome is an interesting point. So you see the oceans are acidifying. You see these climate change indicators. You see the ice caps melting. Would you take independent action to help in that way? Would you take independent action? Now, let's bring it to the level of us, meaning how we are as people. A conflict happens somewhere else in the globe. Let's say Rwanda. All hell was breaking loose. If the United States intervenes, does the United States substantively help that situation, or does the United States make it worse? Let's say we're being benevolent. Yeah, but Garnome, I make this point of, this is a capitalistic model. The model itself is going to try to make profit off of that particular technology. That technology is not going to be harnessed out. For instance, you have the technology right now, have solar panels and energy production independent for each particular house. You can build houses in a way that are energy independent. They don't build houses that are energy independent. In fact, there's some laws that go after people who are using solar panels. How? How is that a different situation? Explain to me. How is that different? You're talking about essentially bypassing the civilization itself and affecting climate and oceans and all this other stuff. Is that what you mean, Garnome? Exactly. I agree with Rob. I agree with Rob. Right. Just, I love my wife. My wife kind of made a really good point. So the point that I'm getting at is, there's no way to help them in that way. Like, you would always be put in a situation of being a parent to a civilization that needs to grow the fuck up. That's my point. That's my point. There's a fucking asteroid coming. There's a fucking asteroid coming. What are you gonna do? I feel you, but you're making an assumption that they're going to use it in that way. Like, understand the situation in which we find ourselves. Back in what, 1950s and 1960s, there was a report commissioned by the oil industry. The report essentially said, look, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to destabilize the climate, destabilize the environment. And essentially, the report was talking about climate change. That was in the 60s. These guys didn't change their behavior. They continued to do the exact same thing they were doing before. We've had new technologies out, clean energy. Doesn't matter. Profit matters more. It depends on what those are. Honestly, profiteering is not inevitable. That's what I mean. It's inevitable in our particular society. We tolerate it. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. It honestly doesn't. I mean, ultimately, we're in this capitalistic model where the best outcome is always out of reach, because ultimately it's not going to get done if somebody can't make a buck off of it. That's a problem. Meaning the only actor that can do something that's not necessarily out of profit is government. The moment that takes place, you have people who are paying politicians to say, whoa, 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 that's too much. You can't even get healthcare privatized. I mean, you know, through public. That's amazing. Antimatter and replicates man. You're talking about an antimatter universe? We're not in an antimatter universe, dude. That would blow up immediately on contact. Yeah, but that would fundamentally change who's on the planet. Yes, you're protecting the planet, but you're destroying the race. Right, that's true. You're right. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. We're assuming they're arriving now. We're assuming they're arriving now. I guess the question becomes, will they use the technology in a way that would allow the actual change? I mean, Garnome, you're making the point that, well, look, even if they share the technology, somebody's going to profit off of it. But even though they're profiting off of it, they're still, at the very least, saving the climate or saving the world. That's the argument I think you're making. Yes, staff, I agree. This is this kind of cigarette argument. Like, if you remember, the tobacco industry had proven that cigarettes cause cancer. The tobacco industry essentially attacks the science. They say, oh, the science is unproven. We don't know if that's true or not. They literally, that's exactly what they did. The oil industry uses the same tactics to attack this way. I mean, to attack the science for that one. Then it got politicized. After it got politicized, you have sides being chosen. So the Republicans will say, I'm for climate change. You have these people who are cultural Republicans who are also toe the line that says, I don't believe in climate change. It has nothing to do with politics. That's a science issue, and yet it's been politicized. It's amazing. It's a pain in the ass. Right, you're saying if technology gets to the point where it's so simplistic and it's so cheap. Here's the thing, though. There's no cure. There's no profit in a cure for cancer. There's profit in treatments for cancer. What I'm getting at is you would never get to the point where they will allow that. They wouldn't allow it. Whether you realize it or not, there's planned obsolescence in all of our technology. Your laptop is going to give out at a certain time because they need to be able to create more laptops so they can stay in business. Your car is going to wear out at a particular time. So again, they need to be able to make more cars so they can stay in business. Meaning, if your equipment was meant to last for a long time, they would go out of business. This capitalistic model demands, literally, it demands for us to use resources. Just to use resources. We're in a finite planet, and yet it says we must use resources because that's how people keep their jobs. This model is insane. It's absolutely insane. No, I agree with that, but I'm saying that's assuming that that technology is going to be in the hands of people. I'm making this argument that it's not right. Exactly, infinite growth. There's no such thing as infinite growth. Exactly, exactly. And here's the other thing: any technology that you give, who are you giving the technology to? Who are you giving it to? Are you putting the idea in somebody's head? Right, but how are they going to do that? Like, I give you an example. Superman making a decision. Yes, I'm saying Superman making a decision to fly and take all the nukes and throw them into the sun. Is Superman right to throw the nukes into the sun? That's the question. I mean, ultimately, the question to you guys is, even if they had the ability to act, should they act? Is it proper for them to act? Or is it more right for humanity to grow up? And if humanity doesn't grow up, he earned it. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The model itself works against that. That's why I'm kind of disagreeing with Gardner on this. The model itself is, we need to make a profit. How do we make a profit? We make a profit by making sure these things fail fast enough where we can get them to buy another one. We make a profit by not having a cure, but having a treatment. I'm saying all these things work in weird ways, but if the goal is profit, then look at the incentive. Wherever the incentive is, you may say, oh my God, that's a gross incentive. I guarantee somebody's going to try to get that incentive. But those places are sovereign countries. It's okay for Superman to go into a sovereign country and take their resources in that way. That's not theft. To the point where they have to intervene before we blow the bitch up. I don't know, man. You mentioned this thing. I have to be honest. I don't think if we had beings that were in ships and they said, these people are fucking idiots, we need to help them, I don't think there's any tangible way that they can actually help. Now, if they had the capacity to do mind-to-mind contact where they could say, okay, I'm going to plant an idea in somebody's head, maybe. Exactly. I agree. I agree. At core, I agree. Humans need to figure it out. Because understand, if, let's say it depends. If there is no point to anything, then we don't matter. It doesn't matter what iota. Whether we snuff ourselves out, whether we proceed, doesn't matter. I'd argue, though, that the universe has a bend towards cooperation. Like it's almost a cosmic law of sorts. There's only so much you can do by yourself. Cooperation allows you to build larger and larger, more complex structures. It's almost like the universe has a bias towards it in that way. If you can marginalize, or you can manage your energy in a way that interacts with somebody else that can manage theirs in a way, then yeah, you can start building complex things. So yeah, you have societies at that point. You have buildings, you have technology, but you can't do those things as individuals. Yes, you can fight each other. You can go at each other. Competition is not as good as cooperation. It's just not. Yeah, you're right. Rob, you're right. You're right. I mean, globalization, it's a fucking horrible idea. Like, they're selling this globalization idea as if it has to do with people. Like, hey, this guy is now, you know, this particular place has been opened up. These people have this capitalistic thing now. There, though, I mean, you must understand, globalization was designed to attack workers. All these people, all these shills, Obama, Hillary, all these people talking about this, how awesome globalization is. Ultimately, globalization has been allowed to decimate workers in this country. Absolutely decimate workers in this country. Like, for instance, you had a situation where you had a finite amount of workers in the United States. You open up trade deals. Now, with these trade deals, you can go to Mexico, China, India, you can go to all these places. So now a company can say, I understand you want to raise, but you know what? I think I'm going to take this job and I'm going to send it overseas. Because now, I was paying you $15. I could pay that guy $3. That guy was only really making $3, $2 before. I gave him $1 extra. I feel great about myself, even though you've lost your job. You can understand the issue that this is making in regards to wages. Also, I don't have to pay you a higher wage because ultimately I can ship your job overseas. This doesn't even touch automation. None of these things. Globalization was a way for them to accrue more profits. These trade deals are just scams of sorts. These things are not for workers. These things are for the owners, the elites, the bourgeois, as Sanders might call it. Yes, it is. Because you have this other weird effect. This is what I mean. They don't take the environmental toll into effect. Capitalism is it's a subordinate reality of sorts. But the subordinate reality completely pays no mind to the real reality of things. And what I mean by real reality, just as a human being, you have certain needs. Those needs are immutable. You need those things if you're going to persist. It doesn't matter what the capitalist model makes up. You still have those needs. If those needs are met, you're going to have aberrant behavior in some way. You're going to be depressed. You may express in a particular way. It may end up being crime. It may be poverty, whatever. How these things express is individual to the person. You do have this other situation also with globalization where they would take something, potatoes, from California and ship those potatoes across the world to Britain, even though Britain has the capacity to make potatoes. But they figure, well, hey, it's cheaper to ship it over because of transportation costs. Those transportation costs does not take environmental damage into effect. It doesn't. It just completely ignores it. It acts as if this is some kind of open system where they can do whatever they want and there are no toll or consequences to the things that they do. Those things take a toll to the environment. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Yes, that's true. That's true. Our systems have extended beyond. Because understand, we created weapons to literally destroy the entire planet. That's amazing. And not just that, we gave control of that to one man. Donald Trump can wake up tomorrow, have a Twitter fit, and blow up the planet if he wanted to. Yes, I would hope somebody would say no, but who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? The scientific method does have that, but it's also limited, if we're being honest. But no, that's not true. It's not the scientific method is limited. It's the person is limited. Stafu. Yeah, it's the person. Ultimately, just have a bias, like physics. Well, inherent in physics is this idea of physical matter reality. It's physical matter reality was all there was. Well, that's insane. They don't know that. It's a religious belief. Also, the scientific method is dependent upon the person who's using it. So yes, you can investigate anything for the most part with the scientific method, but you have to be willing to actually do that investigation. The individual themselves create certain biases that prevent them from doing certain investigations. Then you also have this thing where larger groups kind of come up with their own systems of sorts, meaning they will look down on a particular system or a particular topic. Not because the topic is illegitimate, but because they themselves have come up with these religious beliefs based on the topic. I agree. I agree. But I agree only to a point. We don't know. I mean, that's kind of the problem. We're in this perpetual state of Who the hell knows? When you reach that state of, well, I don't know what reality is. Reality could be some of anything. It gets a little weird. It gets a little weird because at that point your mind is open. You're in this thing of, I don't know what reality is. I know what I've experienced. I give a little bit more credence to my experiences, but I've had bizarre experiences. Like, so for me, weird is, oh, I'm saying the scientific method is not limited. I'm saying the individual who's using it is limited. Yeah, no. I'm just saying the individual itself. Like, I give an example. When Bob Monroe was doing the out-of-body stuff, Tom Campbell was a NASA physicist. There was another gentleman that was working with him that was an engineer. He was like a mechanical engineer or something. Tom Campbell just wanted to know. He was one of those people. He's like, I just want to know. I just want to know. I don't care about whether it's true or not. I just want to know. Teach me what you know. And Tom Campbell took to like a fish to water. He was a natural. He would get into these out-of-body states easy. They started recording the states because they wanted to keep track of like different planes and everything else. They started doing all this research. Now, Tom Campbell, again, he's a physicist. The man looks at this stuff from a scientific perspective. He's looking at what he's experiencing and he's trying to categorize it. When he's in a different plane, when he's talking to somebody, he's trying to understand the system. So he's repeating it over and over and over and over again. He is using the scientific method, but what he is using it on is fucking amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, you can use scientific method on pretty much anything. It just depends on the person, the limitations on the person who's using it. Science is awesome. The problem is the people, in that sense. It is to see the animals go to the zoo. Let's assume for the moment though that, yeah, let's assume for the moment that it's not animals going to the zoo. Let's assume that there is a connectedness throughout the universe. Let's say we're connected in some way. We don't perceive it, but we're connected. Meaning that to some degree they see us and they think, these people are fucking nuts. Now, here's a wild one. I've heard one person say, this is bizarre to me, but whatever. What her name? Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon. She has some out there ideas. I'm going to say it that way. But in her mind, she said, beings have come here because they need to help us. Now, they're not helping us by actually coming to the planet in that sense and dealing with us. Some may, but she's saying no. They're incarnating as human beings with this idea of trying to mellow out the planet, meaning they're coming in waves to try to change human behavior from the inside. Her thought was, it was impossible for them to help us externally. The only way they can help us is by being among us. Now, combine that for the moment with the OBEs. If you're going with this idea, that this becomes somewhat fascinating to me. If you're going with this idea that with OBEs, you have some kind of capacity to pull yourself out of your physical body, does it mean that a part of you exists outside of your physical body? A part of you exists outside of your physical body. Is it possible that a part of you can take on another life? This stuff starts to get deep after a while. There's a scientist, there's a psychologist, UVA, who's studying past lives. He done multiple research papers on this stuff, dealing with kids who remember their past life. He didn't use past life regressions or anything. He would just use the data from these kids. I think one of the papers says this data is interesting. Don't know what it means. It was just kind of like, I don't know what to do with this data. I don't know what to do with this. It's fascinating, but I don't know what to do with this data. The thing that is, no, that's true. You're right. There were multiple people with that. So Tom Campbell had the other guy. One of the tests was, can more than one person experience what I'm experiencing? Meaning, can both of us go out of body, put her about, and still record the exact same things? Meaning these two people are in different rooms. These two people are having an experience together. These two people are talking in a tape recorder. These two people are interacting with one another. And is the tape recorder going to come out with the exact same information for both people? It's fascinating. Some of the stuff they were doing was amazing. Yes. Well, all right, John Melton, let's get in the deep end of the pond. Let's get in the deep end. You're assuming that there's a body. What if there's no body? What if all of this is just a figment of consciousness? When you're in your dream state, you wake up, you have a body, you're puttering about, and say what you're puttering about here. You have a body and everything else. You're functioning. Fingers, all that stuff. There's no tangible difference between those things. At some point, you wake up and you say, oh, I'm back in my regular body. Well, you had a body at that point. Is it possible that those bodies are the same? What I'm getting at is, in the same way that your body, your consciousness, was projecting that body. Because mind you, everything in the dream state was supposed to only be you. Now, we assume that our thoughts are in our heads. That's an assumption. We assume that those things are purely self-contained. But let's go with that assumption. Now, it's all you. And yet, creating a body, you're creating fingers, hands, you're creating experiences that you're talking to people, interacting with people. How is that tangibly different? I understand there's a continuity thing where, well, I wake up and I'm back into a body, but you were in a body already. You're in a body already. Now, in my own experiences, I've had situations where as I'm in a lucid state and as I'm losing consciousness in that state, as that body starts to dematerialize, I die in that state. I lose, eyesight, ears, fingers, sight, touch, all that stuff. It starts to go away and I pop back into this body. We're assuming that this is a body. This could be a figment of consciousness that all of us, for the most part, are interacting with. Data points. Essentially, you're given a certain amount of data, your consciousness is interpreting that data, and bing, we have reality. But all it means is you have a digital reality. Even when you're looking at things that happen, those things are probabilistic. It's like, it could be this, it could be that, there's a percentage of whatever. You could roll a dice, that could be a reality. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Matter is energy. It's literally matter is energy. Equals MC squared. Mass times speed of light squared. I used to be a physics major. I used to love this stuff. I was absolutely fascinated by it. When I got into quantum mechanics, I was like, this is fascinating, but this is fascinating from a theory standpoint. I don't want to do math. I literally was like, yeah, I don't need the math. It's a particle wave duality. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. You take a photon, or let's not say a photon. You take a particle, an electron. Well, they've been verified by the individuals who are in them. it's like saying, hey, I give you an example. Oh, there was a psychologist. I think it was a psychologist. There was a bunch of people on an airplane. And there was a bunch of people that saw a UFO. UFO passed by. Everybody was like, holy shit, there's a UFO out there. And as the people press their face to the window, they get down and they say, hey, did you see it? He says, no, I don't believe in UFOs. It's an amazing thing. Look, the individuals who are experiencing them, experience is what it is. Not all things are going to, that's not really true, Steffu. I mean, trying to limit your scope of investigation, and yes. But I don't know where you limit that scope. That becomes a religious belief at that point. There's no way to know. Like, you're talking about something that's a physical thing, and you're trying to compare it to some kind of, other concept. It doesn't really float that way. I don't even know how you would investigate that. And also, that's not even true. When you're having people who are in these out-of-body states looking at themselves in surgery, or when they're near-death experiences, these things are immensely similar. Now, you can say it's the brain kind of throwing a fit at the last minute. But more likely than not, I would make the argument that this reality is virtual. And if this reality is virtual, that goes out the window. Like, in fact, the double-slit experiment by itself kind of gets across this idea that, yeah, this reality is virtual. If you're right, Steffu, that particle should not be a wave and a particle at the same time. It's ultimately, if you're going to shoot a particle through a slit, it's going to go through one or the other in a physical environment. Meaning, if the environment is physical, it goes through one or the other. There is no dicking around with a particle and wave. It goes through one or the other. It doesn't make sense in a physical world for that to happen. It does make sense in a virtual environment. A choice wasn't made. Even gravity makes sense in a virtual environment, meaning you have areas that have a heavier process, and that heavier processing slows the system down, meaning from the reference point of the person who's experiencing it, it seems like space and time is warped. Well, yeah, it is warped. It takes more processing power for that particular thing to function in that way. I mean, you can really make these arguments in regards to virtual environment. In fact, adding this idea of a virtual environment even starts to explain some of this other phenomena. You just don't want to believe in the phenomena because it makes it a little bit more difficult. Also, keep in mind, saying something has been verified by science doesn't really mean anything. Like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, do you think, put it this way, science is falsifiable. True or false? That's true. Meaning everything that happens in science for the most part has the capacity to be falsified. That's one of the powerful aspects of science. Their knowledge grows as it goes on. Meaning one prevailing belief gets changed. So back in the old days when they thought, you know, when Newtonian mechanics, well, there was no such thing as Einstein's relativity. They thought the world was clockwork. At that particular point, that fool would have been saying, hey, that relativity stuff, that's not been scientifically verified. That's what I mean. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. It's saying something hasn't been scientifically verified. And also, I don't even know if it's true. And in fact, I'm doubtful that it is true. I strongly suspect when I meet people like that, they're focusing their research very, very specific. Have you heard of the Stanford Research Institute? Have you heard of Pear Labs? Have you heard of UVA's psychology program? Like all of these things are getting into this weird research. There's plenty of studies out there. Usually those people who are adamant, I believe in science. It's like, I believe in a tool. Yeah, that's great. You believe in a tool. That's not bad. But ultimately, you need an open mind. That's my point. No. The virtual environment is not a cop-out. I would say when you look at the simulation hypothesis, it's not crazy. And again, it starts to explain all this other stuff. Like for instance, if I'm having an OB and I'm walking around the room and I'm experiencing something that I shouldn't be able to experience, and I have that information, then something just took place. If we're even talking about remote viewing by itself blows the water off of this stuff of so the CIA, or the military itself, started studying remote viewing. Now, remote viewing is this thing where the Soviet Union was into cognitive studies. They were essentially doing mind studies. Now, the United States thought these guys were mental. They was like, these people are full of shit. There's no way they're doing this mental stuff. But the United States wanted to be thorough. So the United States also opened up a psychics program. Now, they call the psychic program remote viewing. The idea that you sit in a room, somebody gives you coordinates. They just give you numbers, random numbers. Those numbers are attached to something. And that person sits in a room and starts writing stuff down. Now, they call it scientific remote viewing because the protocols using Stanford Research Institute in addition to the US military. Yeah, it did. It started in the Army. It might have started in the Army. I think it was like under like the DIA or something like that. But it moved around, eventually got around to the CIA. But in business for like 20-some years. These guys was finding all sorts of weird stuff. I don't know what it means by real. Like, what do you mean by real? Like, what does real mean? Anything you experience is real. Yeah. I mean, put it this way, Staffu. People who've had these experiences, the argument becomes somewhat ridiculous. And I'm not saying your argument is ridiculous. I'm saying I understand from the perspective of somebody who's never had the experience. They see it differently. Like they don't interpret it the same way. But when you've had the experience, this stuff goes out the window. Like the argument doesn't fly. Yeah, they are. They're different forms of remote viewing. So this is something I tried to study. I wanted to know if it worked. The very first time I did it, I got my wife, at the time she was my girlfriend. I said, all right, write a number on it. I go downstairs, I do meditation. As I'm doing my meditation, I'm like, all right, write down the numbers, and I taste metal. I taste metal. I literally taste metal. I see a flash of gold. I write down metal, gold, and then I'm like, this feels like a goblet. Feels like a goblet. I wrote down a goblet. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, this is a bullshit thing. There's no fucking way that's right. It was dead on. It was dead on. I started doing it for the year, just trying it over and over and over again. And my hit percentage went up. My hit percentage was actually pretty good. I couldn't get all of it right. But put it this way, my hit percentage was enough where it shocked the shit out of me. Like, of all the things you could choose, it would usually be right on. And when you hit it, like when you know you hit it, you know you hit it, if that makes sense. It's like something in you is like right there, that's it. As you're writing the stuff down. I give you an example. One of the things, sometimes your body is interpreting the stuff as something else that is slightly off. Sometimes you would notice I would say a word wrong. Well, my body's like that, unfortunately. So when I think, it thinks in the same way. So as I'm doing a reading, I did one, this was maybe a year ago. And I'm sitting there doing my meditation and everything else. I'm writing down, you know, each of the things. And I started getting these feelings associated with it. It was feeling horrible. It was feeling fucking crummy. And I would write down, I said, this feels like a war zone. It literally feels like a war zone. And I had this image, when this thought that I'm never going to see my kids again. I don't have any kids. But this was the stuff that was flooding me. It felt miserable. It ended up being Chernobyl. It wasn't a war zone, but it was damn destructive. It was Chernobyl. But I have a lot of those like that. And sometimes you even get to the point when you buy locate, where you're doing it and you're so into it that you start seeing the shapes of the thing that you're looking at, and you're being able to move around that particular environment. Like, it gets really weird. Some of these guys are amazingly good at it, where they're able to get this information. Doesn't about I don't know what that is. Epistemiology. Yeah, you lost me on this one. I don't know what that word means. You got to fill me in on that word. Oh, objective reality. Yeah, I mean, objective reality is so limited. Like, believe it or not, Sefu, your entire reality is subjective. It just is. Like, there's some things where you say, okay, I'm going to measure this. Oh, fair enough. But those things are very confined. They're very specific to a particular thing. Ultimately, your reality is subjective. These guys, yes, they do studies. And they're trying in these studies to try to get physical matter reality, saying, what are the rule set for physical matter reality? And look, I have no issue with them doing those studies. My issue is they tend to be closed-minded. They tend to have very specific ideas on the world. But these ideas are religious beliefs. Like, when you start poking at them, they only believe in physical matter reality. Yeah, I don't know why they believe that in that way. If you're a scientist, you just say, I don't know. Agnostic is the only honest answer. I've had bizarre experiences, immensely bizarre experiences. And ultimately, I come back with, yeah, I don't know what that was. Like, I'm stuck in this situation of, I don't know. I have beliefs where I'm saying, okay, I lean towards this because I believe this. Like, I'll give you an example. Back when I mentioned this before in my other one, I was in my 20s. I met a being who said, she gave me her name. I forgot her name. She said, I'm your expositor. An expositor is somebody who's supposed to explain complicated or difficult ideas. Now, I had no idea what that word meant. Once I got back into my body, I ended up running to the computer and writing down expositor, a person who explains complicated, personal being who explains complicated things. Now, I met her 3 more times. So this is bizarre. Like, it's one of those things where, okay, either some aspect of myself is continuously fucking with me or showing up. Kind of, yeah, I am. Like, you can say, for instance, I'm saying we don't know enough of reality to know what reality is. That's the point I'm kind of getting at. Like, I agree with you that if we're sharing a room, we say, okay, that's a table, that's a chair, that's a agreeing on a particular reality. But are you certain that we're seeing the exact same reality? Like, I know we're seeing a table and chair, but how do you know those things are being experienced in the same way? How do you know you're not even the only person in that room? Like, I mean, all this stuff it's weird. For instance, Stefan, prove to me that you exist. Prove to me that you exist. Prove to me that you're not a figment of my imagination. Prove it to me. I am an open book. I would like for you to prove that to me. This is kind of what I'm getting at. You guys don't know what reality is. Physics, scientists are awesome at studying physical matter reality, but at the deeper heart of the issue, they are oblivious, and they try to limit the conversation to the areas to which they can understand. And look, I don't fault them for it. When Neil deGrasse Tyson, except when you're like this, he was having a conversation with, I can't think of the guy's name, he's a physicist. I will try to put the link down. And he said, when you dig into the matter reality, like when you get into superstring theory, it ends up looking like error correction code, software. Neil deGrasse Tyson blew his mind. He's like, wait a minute, are you saying that this looks like computer code? He says, yes, I am saying this looks like computer code, not just computer code, but it looks like error correction code. That is amazing. So he's essentially physicists. Both of these guys are physicists. Blew Neil deGrasse Tyson's mind. My wife loves him, and I even like him. And he says, wait a minute. Neil deGrasse Tyson even sits down. Are you saying that this looks like software? He says, not just software, error correction code. These are two physicists having a conversation. They're talking about something that looks like a virtual environment. That's all I'm saying, Stefan. No, you're missing my point. I'm saying that there's no way for you to prove that the reality that you're experiencing is the same reality somebody else is experiencing. Like, I don't even know that you exist. I don't. You can't prove to me that you exist. Nobody can prove to anybody else they exist. It's almost like they have to take it as just take it for granted, almost. It's like, you're talking to me, so I'm just making an assumption that you exist. Well, that's an assumption. I could be the only one here. You could be the only one here. I could be a figment of your imagination. What we're seeing is reflective of our mathematics. This is usurped and surprising when you think about it. You lost me on this one, Gardner. What we are seeing is reflective of our mathematics. Oh, you're trying to say that for the most part, our reality is mathematical. Yeah, that's true. Our reality is mathematical. Yeah, that's just what I mean, right? It's like, so Tom Campbell went with this idea of, he's a scientist. So in his mind, a computer simulation that's meant to evolve consciousness. Like, this is all a computer simulation designed to evolve human consciousness, to get us to be better than who we are, by putting us in some kind of virtual environment where you can't actually hurt the actual. Yeah, well, that's just it. That's what he's saying. He's saying that when you look into he's using superstring theory. He's using string theory, but he's saying when you look into the mathematics for string theory, I am not smoking pot on camera. I'm not getting locked up. It is not legal in Virginia. I'm not going to prison. You're not gonna have my ass get perp walked. That's not what I want to be. Doing a progressive soapbox from prison is not. It's not fun. That's not sexy at all. In fact, you don't want to be sexy. Going on to prison. No, that's true. You're right. You're right. Our system of understanding is reflexive our too. With the one exception, Einstein. Einstein. Understand, Einstein was coming up with stuff that was mind-blowing. Like, he's sitting on a train and he's saying, because of the way the train moved, he's wondering, like, this idea of relative momentum, meaning if you're moving in a relative speed, you can't necessarily tell which one is moving. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, we're limited by our understanding of mathematics. Don Vincent hating. Yeah, Don Vincent's hating. I don't know why Don Vincent is hating like that. Like, when if you got one Don Vincent, don't be a hater, man. Don't be a hater. That's fine. That's not fun. That's not fun. Yeah, man. I'm fascinated by these questions on reality. I mean, like, think about it. I mean, just for Don Vincent, when you had a pipe, let's say you had a bong hit or a pipe hit, whatever, pick your fancy. Your reality changes a little bit. Like, so, yes, that's your brain. You know, your brain is being activated in a particular way. And as it's being activated and stimulated, you experience it as your reality is different. No, those things aren't in conflict. No. Those things aren't in conflict. You can have both. You're still held by rule sets. I mean, whether life was a simulation or not, you're still under a rule set. Pain hurts. You're still affected by these things. Science is still science. That's what I mean. I'm not, I may be interested in mystical stuff, but ultimately I am in a physical matter reality. I full well understand it. And the people who investigate physical matter reality are scientists. I give them credence in that particular field. But it gets into the non-physical stuff, then no, because I know they're biased against it. Those things aren't inconsistent though. It's just, one is metadata of sorts. One is just an awareness of the overall thing. One is contemplating, well, what is it? What is this stuff? What is this thing that we're soaking in? Why do we perceive our environment in this way? Why is our reality configured in this way? That's different than saying, well, because this is some kind of a simulation that you don't have to worry about climate change or global warming. Hell no. Hell no. You're still under rule sets. This particular environment, even if you go with this idea of a virtual environment. And again, I'm agnostic. I don't know. I take a position. I have no clue. I lean more towards that because it makes more sense to me. But if this is still an evolving environment, like this is, our environment evolves. It's evolution of sorts. Like it's not this funhouse environment. You're still subjected to the rules of physics and whatnot. So yes, these scientists can go in, they can understand certain rules. They can create technology and everything else to manipulate those rules. All of that stuff is real. It's still an environment. It's not like, well, this is a simulation so you can fly. No, you're not gonna fly. You're not gonna fly. Debate of science. Conscious, because coincidence is God was raining on us. That's funny. Einstein, when you actually look at the stuff that he's been saying, he said some mind-blowing stuff that gets into this whole non-physical thing. Even the physics, when you get into like quantum mechanics and whatnot, this stuff gets weird. Like the double-slit experiment. They've been able to create more and more experiments with this to try to make it more and more complicated. So it would be electron. You sit in an electron through two slits. Now, here's the catch. Look at the slits, meaning if you're observing the slits, it goes through one or the other. If you're not observing, it goes through both. This is bizarre because this is a particle. This is not a wave, but it's functioning as a wave. That's an amazing goddamn thing. Because understand what this means. The consciousness involved is making a determination on whether or not the thing gets seen. Meaning, if I observe it, bam, it's physical matter reality. Your choice is made, it picks one side. If I don't observe it, and I look at the back of how it hits, it's a wave. No choice was made. Because no choice was made, it turns as a wave. Well, this is fascinating for us. So what does this mean? If nobody observes something, that thing doesn't exist, meaning if nobody's looking at your liver, that liver doesn't exist, your body, for the most part, just kind of handles those things. Think of it as a game space. Your character is running around. He has a heart. If you cut him open, he would have a heart. He would bleed. That character doesn't have any blood in him. He bleeds only when he's supposed to bleed. The rule set tells him to do so. What I'm getting at is we can have some really bizarre rule sets. Like when you're getting into this idea, yes, if you cut my hand open, you're going to see blood. But is there blood in my hand before you cut my hand open? How do you prove that? Like, yes, if somebody looks, it's going to be there. If you don't look, there's no point in rendering that particular thing. Meaning, if nobody's looking at my house, is my house still there? The moment that somebody observes my house, does my house pop back in? Kind of like a game space. If you're playing a video game, you walked out, your house is behind you. They're not rendering your house. You turn around, oh, there's my house. Everywhere you go is where it's at. You can see your veins, but you're looking. That's in a rule set. That's true, but that's in your rule set. It's not so much I'm trying to find consciousness. I'm trying to make this point of how weird this gets. Like a scientist sends a particle through 2 slits. If that scientist looks, it changes the result of the experiment. That's what I'm getting at. Kind of, but this is the physics behind it in that sense. This is physics behind it. I mean, and this is actually real physics. This is not, you know, some mystical stuff. This is the results of the experiment. They've done this thing more over and over again. They've made it more and more complex. Like, so they would say, all right, we're going to make it where the scientist doesn't look until after the fact. Yeah, I mean, really. Yeah, the scientist doesn't look until after the fact. So you send a slit, a particle through. It goes through the slits. Afterwards, the scientist looks. A choice is made. Now, here's the weird part. That choice is made even though it's precog in a sense. The scientist doesn't look until it goes through the slit. And yet, the moment that the scientist looks, it makes a choice. If it doesn't look, it doesn't make a choice. Like, it doesn't matter which part of the process is. If you do a bunch of experiments, nobody looks, you just have the results. Well, all those things are going to come back as waves. The moment that you start looking at the results, it changes. It's so bizarre. It's mentally bizarre. No, that's just it. See, that's just it. It's nowhere to know. Like, or put it this way: it's Jesus Christ, are all of us in the same game space? Well, that's the first question. If all of us are in the same game space, then yes, all of us are functioning under the same rules. If all of us are in our own game space, meaning our own data stream of sorts, then it's an open book, your own rule set. There's no way to know. I would argue that you probably, yeah, there's no way to know that anybody else exists. That's the problem. You take it almost as a, you know, as a religious belief of sorts. What do you mean? I'm basing it on his beliefs on faulty reasoning of presupposition and assumption and rationalizing them all together. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means. I'm telling you certain experiments. I'm telling you, these are real experiments. All of the stuff I'm telling you are real experiments. Either I experienced them or there was some kind of experiment involved in it. It's not suppositions, experience. Now, you can say the experience wasn't what I thought it was, but I never said it was anything. I said it was just weird experience. It could be. That's what I mean. Reality is weird in this way. Reality is weird in this way. No. I didn't say that's what it means. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that's what it means. I'm saying it's a weird experiment. I'm saying the experiment itself kind of gives this, I would say it gives evidence to that. Physical matter reality. Just physical. Let's say it's physical. No simulation, no nothing. It doesn't choose in that way. Now, you can say there's more, you can say there's some principle of science that's working that we don't know. We're living in a physical reality. Fair enough. You can say that. I can also say, well, look, the fact that that thing is not being chosen until after the fact, in a physical reality, it wouldn't behave that way. That's weird behavior. That's all I'm saying. Why does it exclude objective reality and the existence of others? Yeah, I'm just making this point that you should have an open mind. I mean, being closed-minded on something that is impossible for you to know is ridiculous. I agree with Rumi. I honestly agree with Rumi. But again, that's me. I understand that's a belief, if that makes sense. Do I do rants? Yeah, I've done rants. I've done rants. When I get pissed off, look, my bias is towards people. It's towards people. When if something is harming somebody, hurting somebody, somebody's suffering, yeah, I would rant. I lose my shit. We're all the witness, not the body or the mind. Now, look, for me, the non-physical stuff, I'm fascinated by. But I've always told you, I'm agnostic on this stuff. I don't know what it is. I consider it just phenomenology. It's, holy shit, this happened. This is amazing to me. This is an experience. That's as far as it goes. I don't know what it is. Now, there are things where I lean in saying, okay, this experience gives me a certain idea of belief. But even then, I understand it's belief. It's not, you know, it's not, this is the word of God. Yeah, I'm not there. That's not what I meant. I brought it up because of the double-slit experiment. And I was making this point of, this is a bizarre experiment. And if you're looking for some level of evidence that lends a particular way, then yeah, I do say that evidence can be interpreted as this environment is somewhat virtual. Proof that it's virtual, I'm saying it's evidence of it. You can just as well say, well, no, that's not evidence that it's virtual. It's, we have a physical reality, but that's some quirk in that. You can say that. You can also say that. I'm saying, my point is, you don't know. That's my point. Thanks, JH1. I'm glad you found my channel too. Hillary Clinton is not a progressive. No, no, I don't mean that at all. No, 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 no. There is no, no, hell no. There is no reality frame that Hillary Clinton was a progressive. I don't know where you get that one from. No, 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 absolutely not. Objective reality, no. No, I'm not trying, I'm not trying to say I'm right. You're trying to say I'm coming down hard on one way or the other. That's just it, I'm not. There's nothing that I said that's coming hard one way or the other. If anything, I made this point of, I find these things interesting. I'm bringing this up from the point of interest, not because it's like the word of God. No, that's not it at all. Dr. Julian Berenberg. No, I'm not trying to say I'm right, because two girls, photon. That's not what I'm saying. I am not trying to lead us back to Hillary Clinton. Hell no. You know what's funny? I just did a video making this point. So yeah, that may be true too. No, that may be true. And here's this is my point. Weird experiences could be flaws of the mind, it's true. But they may not be flaws of the mind. That's kind of what I'm getting at. You're overly focused on this idea of this needs to be proven. Well, it doesn't to me. It's ambiguous. I'm okay with ambiguity. I don't need to be of it. I've had enough bizarre experiences to realize, okay, I don't know what this is. Now, the problem becomes, what the hell is reality? Well, that becomes a difficult choice. Now, at that point, it becomes, all right, reality is what I perceive, even though I may know that there may be something else. That's why I end up just ambiguity. I'm okay with ambiguity. At least I've learned to live with it. Truth is hard to bear. It is. I mean, I went through this thing of having this idea of what reality was. Like when I was younger, I would say, oh, I had a guide and this and that. And then somewhere along the way, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know what it is. I have no clue what that is. Once I got to the point of I have no clue what it is, it became, okay, I don't know what all this stuff is. But there's certain things, there's certain rule sets that we function under, at the very least, physics. So at the very least, these guys are trying to find evidence in regards to what a physical matter reality. I am living in a physical matter reality. So yes, I give these guys a certain amount of credence. But I don't give them credence to the point of just closing my mind off. That's ridiculous. No, hell no. If I've experienced something, I want to know what it is. Somebody saying it doesn't exist comes across as lying to me. That's all, you know, it's like they need to have a particular point of view. I don't need to have their particular point of view, particularly when I've experienced something. Proof exists in mathematics only. Well, yeah, because those are finite rule sets. No, science deals with evidence. Science deals with evidence. I mean, I agree with you that proof is in mathematics, but again, that's just because it's logic. It's rule sets. It's like, I'm a software engineer. We deal with math all day. It's just, I can create a logical thing that does something else. It's a line of logic. But falsification and probabilities, yes, no, I would argue evidence. I mean, science is based on evidence. What's the preponderance of evidence? And yes, trying to prove something, but it's always falsifiable. You always have the capacity of falsifying something that takes place. Like Newton was awesome until Einstein came along. Staff's point was countered 2,000 years ago with Taoism. Yeah, that's right. I made this point about Sadhguru. This guy asks Sadhguru, he says, Sadhguru is a yogi. He says, what happens when you die? And Sadhguru is he's this ebullient man. He's all like, he has this long beard. He's like this long white beard. He's just like this traditional yogi, even though he like rides a motorcycles and whatnot. The guy is awesome. And he says, he's looking at him like, oh, this fucking question. He says, I could tell you what happens after life after death. And it's like, I don't know why he thought Sadhguru would know this answer, but whatever. Sadhguru says, I could tell you what happens after life after death. But you just have to believe me. You can either believe me or you don't believe me. And where does that leave you? That leaves you nowhere. That leaves you nowhere. High probability. Prove to me that you exist. Prove to me that you exist. I mean, this is kind of what I'm getting at, Sefu. You have this idea of you need to know what reality is. I'm saying that, yes, if you're in a space with somebody, then yes, you can observe reality and everything else. But I'm making a point that there's no way to know if you're the only person in that room. How would you know? Like, your reality is so malleable. Like, you have no clue. You have no idea. I understand that you want to be able to say, look, this is real. This is real. God damn it, this is real. Okay, but how do you know anybody else is in the room? How do you know? This is kind of my point. I end up on the side of, I just don't know. I'm okay with just not knowing. I investigate. I want to learn. I look at tools like OBEs, lucid dreaming, remote viewing as oddities in the framework. Even when you get into these studies of like ghosts and stuff, where you see, I met this woman who was a ghost hunter, literally a ghost hunter. And she has all this videotape where she's sitting in a room and she's just as a light, just regular light. She's asking questions and the light's coming on and off based upon the questions she's asking. She's not lying about it. She has no reason to lie about it. She's at a particular place. And we're sitting there looking at it like, holy shit, the thing, it's cutting on and off. Now, I would probably call this bullshit if I hadn't had my own experience. This is what I mean. Like, I've had these bizarre experiences that flies in the face of stuff that, you know, some of these guys are saying. Like, so I gave an example. My mom and I went to this New Age thing. It was called the Apollon. Since I was 18, I was able to see auras. Like, I could see stuff around people. It's just what it was. It's like little lights. It's like a inch light that would hover off of people. I would have to look at them right, but you can see it. All the colors. So I'm intrigued. Hey, I want to be able to see all the colors. I was like, I want to be able to see all the colors. So we go to this thing. I see nothing. I see squat. I'm like, God damn it, I didn't see anything. It's fucked up. Can't believe I wasted my money on this. So I get home. I'm in my apartment. I'm at my computer. I'm typing. And I'm talking to my mom on the phone. And I'm saying, yeah, I said that would have been an awesome spot to see that because it was a bunch of people around. It would have insulated a little bit. Then I put the phone down. I feel weird. And that weird feeling was enough for me to say, if there's something in here other than myself, flicker the light. Now, this is a bizarre thing to say. And I don't even know why I started saying that. I have no idea why I started saying it, but I remember I said it. And the light goes haywire for like 30 seconds. I'm looking at this light, slightly freaked out, but slightly excited. And as I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, that's fucking awesome. I'm slightly scared, but that's fucking awesome. I do one of these numbers where I slide by the phone because I don't want to get too close to the light. And I call my mom, you never believe what just took place. You never believe what just took place. That lamp, the lamp requires a multiple spin. That thing was going haywire. I was appreciative, believe it or not. I said, thank you. I was essentially saying I wanted to have a particular experience at that particular place. The experience didn't necessarily happen. Immediately after that, an experience happens. Yes, I'm at home by myself. Yes, it's slightly freaky, but whatever. I was appreciative. Those things are weird. Like, those things are odd. The physical matter reality model doesn't take those things into account. Just those things aren't real. The problem is when you're talking to people and you're talking to millions of people who've had weird stuff, they disbelieve you. They just disbelieve you. That may be true, but you haven't touched what I'm saying. You haven't touched what I'm saying. It's you can take my argument down if, for the most part, you can puncture this idea that what is reality? I mean, ultimately, my point is, I don't know. Yeah, okay, but again, I think those people are closed-minded, so these things are relative perspectives. Like, ultimately, I understand where you're coming from. I grant these guys the physical matter reality thing. I don't grant them something that they have a bias against. That's just crazy. It's like talking to a Republican about a Democrat. That's not the person that you want to have the conversation with. That may be true also, JH1. What is swamp gas? You know, speaking of swamp gas, the guy who did that, the Blue Book, you know, he came out and did his own study on that. He thought he was saying that the military was trying to botch the studies. And even though he went in as a skeptic, he came out a believer and literally wrote his own book on it. He found of all of these experiences, most of them can be explained by, you know, just weird stuff. But sometimes the military would be like, yeah, on a clear night, swamp gas, there's no swamp nearby, there's no nothing nearby. Person saw something, oh, swamp gas. It'll just be some weird stuff that they would put in. No, I'm not, there's no way to talk about it other than ego. I mean, and it depends on what you mean by ego. I don't know what you mean in that sense. I use it as a distraction. You see the little people on the ship? That's funny. I mean, I've seen the evidence of what the human mind does. I'm making this point that these guys have this idea that they want to understand reality a particular way. I'm saying they don't. I'm saying they have biases. They're biases. And look, you can hear their biases just in the way they interact with each other, even in the way you're talking about it. It's clearly, there's no way for you to know. And yet you are very adamant about it. It's like you need it to be a particular thing. I don't need it to be anything. I would make the case that my position is more honest. That's the point I'm making. It's not, it's one of those things where, yes, you can see the mind work a particular thing, but they even make assumptions that the mind is in the body. You know, aspects of the skull. These guys are posers. They're good at physical matter reality. Or I don't know how to pronounce your names. Steph or Fat. I'll just call you Fat. They're good at physical matter reality. I give them that one. I don't give them anything beyond it because that's not their bag. It's just not their thing. I have a degree in, I have a few degrees actually. I got a degree in holistic nutrition early on. I never used it. I got another bachelor's in bachelor's of science. I got a comp sci certificate. I have an associate's of science, and I think that's it. I think I have like herbology certificates or something. The mind doesn't have to be in the body. Why? Why do you believe that? Well, I consider myself the rationalist too. I mean, ultimately, look, the rational and honest perspective is, I don't know. Scientists, they have this view of reality that's based in physics, the physical world. So for them, they're biased against this stuff. So it's like, am I going to believe the person who's biased against a particular topic? No, I'm not. I'm not. If we're having a conversation about, you know, climate and everything else, then yes. No. Fact. Again, you're missing my point. I'm agreeing with you that it's possible. I'm telling you that my position is I don't know, and you're attacking the position of I don't know. That's why this is blowing my mind. It's hilarious to me. It's like, I don't know. You're saying that it's not fabricating your mind. No, really. I'm saying it could be a figment of my subconscious. I've said that. I think even on this show I've said that. She's like, right. It's like in my honest opinion. I don't know what she wants. Am I giving credence to scientists on this front? Yeah, there's some scientists that I would listen to or research. But again, those scientists get into like consciousness studies and stuff like that. People who honestly study it, yeah, I would listen to them. If I'm in objective reality, if I'm wide awake, and if a light starts blinking on and off, then yes, I'm going to believe that experience because I was there. It would be insane not to. That would be a bizarre thing. I was here for this experience, but I'm going to disbelieve it because of what? That's the experience. That's the psychologist thing. It's like, hey, did you see that UFO? No, I don't believe in UFO, so I didn't look. It's like I don't believe in UFOs, but you saw the UFO, bro. I had a friend of mine. She reminds me of you, Fat. He reminds me of you. He said he goes into a house, and he says as they're walking into the house, he said he's the only one in the house. There's nobody else in the house, and he sees a woman walking up the steps, and he's like, "What the fuck is that?" Now he goes upstairs, looks in the room. There's nothing in the room, and he says to himself, "I said, Scott, you saw a ghost. I don't believe in ghosts." Scott, you saw a ghost. I don't believe in ghosts. Ghosts don't exist. Then what was it? I don't know. I mean, it's insane, but come on, man. But you seem to be taking it very seriously. Oh, some of it I do take seriously. Yeah. No, some of it I do. I mean, just because I make the point of I don't know, I make a distinction between what I know versus what I believe. Religious thing. It's what do I err on the side of? I err on the side of, yes, I think there's something there. But do I know it? No, I don't. It would be dishonest to say it's this source, that. At least for me, it would be dishonest. I'm pretty sure some people are harder on it. But for me, I look at it as, here's the thing. When you have a particular experience, if you look at it with a particular lens, you're going to change the experience. Having your lens to be somewhat open and saying, okay, I'm just experiencing this particular thing. This is phenomenology. It's a more honest experience. That's what she fundamentally miss. Like, it's one of those things of, you do engage in self-doubt. You do ask yourself, okay, is this real? But then you also have to ask yourself, what if it is real? That's the other question. That's a more interesting question to me. If it's a figment of my imagination, fair enough. Studies, as you're testing it, you're essentially using the scientific method to investigate a particular thing. You can use the scientific method to investigate anything. I would say look in Stanford Research Institute. I would say look at Paralabs. Some of those studies in consciousness are amazing, absolutely amazing. I don't think she's going to look at those because that's outside of her reality frame or her paradigm. But I would say if you're curious, look at them. They're interesting. Exactly. Exactly. At least now in that frame of reference. If I'm, again, I mean, like, it's one thing if it's in your head. Like, it's one thing if you're experiencing something where it's, okay, this is a subjective experience. Problem is, I don't know what the word expositor means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Pat. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Like, I don't know how it applies. It's ridiculous, you know. that pose it. I mean, it's one of those things where you deal with earnestly, you just don't deal with it at all. You're, yeah, I don't know what that means. Like, for instance, all experiences are real. Now, there may be some that aren't necessarily that you're functioning with other people, but all experiences are real. Now, your question is, how do you know it's not real? For instance, even with this ridiculous thing, a Chinese teapot in space, I don't know what that means. That just sounds ridiculous to me. You need to have a more real world example. Inexpensive ways to eat healthy. I haven't touched that degree in God knows how long. That's awesome. That's what I mean. That you're always going to run into issues because your ideology doesn't stand up to reality. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It's like, it's one thing to say, put it this way, it's one thing to say you've had an experience. There's another thing to say that experience is not real. How do you know? How do you know? You just jump to a conclusion. That's not scientific. That's not investigating anything. That's you essentially disproving something based on your own ideology. That's dishonest. That's the point I'm getting at. The Chinese teapot in space thing is absurd. I'm sorry, it's just a ridiculous argument. Is there a Chinese teapot in space? How the hell do I know if there's a Chinese teapot in space? I believe that there are other beings, yeah. I think we're in one planet. If we're the only planet, if we're the only planet there is, there has to be a God. Like, because that's such an amazing thing. Like, there would be such a bizarre thing for us to be the only planet of life. There has to be other planets of life. There has to be. I mean, this is physical matter reality. There has to be. I just don't have this belief that we're the only thing in a galaxy. I just don't believe it. I think, in fact, I think it would be weirder for us to be the only thing in the galaxy. I would imagine we're teeming with life. What's that Drake equation? Life all over the place. Yeah, that's right. Our cognitive functions come into play when we're looking at reality. We can never actually touch the real world. We can only get our perspectives on it. The question is, as humans, should we treat everything as real when we engage in? Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you're going to treat it as real because for you it is real. I mean, regardless of how we talk about it, when we're thinking about these bigger issues of, well, what is this? What could this be? This is interesting phenomenology. This particular thing took place. What does it mean? Is it real? Is it fake? What does it mean? Those are honest questions that people ask. God damn it. Those are honest questions that people ask. Oh, if there's a Chinese, well, no, but I don't know how that applies. Like, this isn't a situation. You're asking, I think you're taking it as if I'm asking you to believe something. I don't care what you believe. It doesn't matter. Like, for me, it's ambiguous. So it's irrelevant to me. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, this is not me posing something and saying, hey, I need you to believe this. It's not it at all. I didn't actually believe anything. I'm telling you my experience. You can discount the experience based upon your own context, which is fine. When I'm having a conversation with my wife, she has no connotation whatsoever for some of the oddities that I've experienced. So for her, I believe it. I expect her to believe it. It's one of those things where if I didn't necessarily come in contact with it, belief is, look, if you believe something or disbelieve something, you're still just in that state of belief. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is experience. If you experience something, then it becomes real to you. You understand. You're never going to be in a context where you understand because for the most part, your cognitive functions work in a way where you discount that stuff. Even if you did experience, you would probably discount it right off the bat, even the way you're talking. It's like, hey, I experienced this OBE. Is there a Chinese teapot in space, man? Is there a Chinese teapot in space? It's like, what the hell does a Chinese teapot in space have to do with OBE? Or what does it have to do with remote viewing? What does it have to do with Stanford Research Institute doing studies into cognitive stuff or pair labs? I don't know what these things have to do with anything. No, I get what you're getting at. What I'm saying is you can use the scientific method to invest pretty much anything. Whether the scientist itself takes those things seriously, it's the limitation of the scientific method. That's what I'm getting at. And to take this position of it's not real right off the bat, it's dishonest. It's immensely dishonest. You have no idea whether it's real or not. I mean, based on your context of real. Admirable versus UFO versus 9/11. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I honestly don't know the answer to that. I mean, that's kind of a point. Your reality is being shaped by events around you, and you have to wonder what's real. Like you always, and it's no, it's not woo woo. No, it's not really woo woo. I mean, if you experience something, it's phenomenology. It's I've experienced X. I don't know how that's pushing anything. Yeah, this experience is worthless. Okay. Experience is worthless. I got a flood of voices saying angels all around. Oh, Lord. Politicians do have a different reality. Well, everybody has a different reality. In Guardians of the Galaxy, there's this awesome scene where the guy is walking into a ship. I can't think of the name of him. And he's walking to a ship, and he's like, well, you have a good one. And she's like, I'm going to kill my father, and I'm going to come back and kill my sister. He's like, whoa, whoa. Okay, you have a good one. They're in two completely different realities. Her reality frame is purely based on I'm going to murder my sister. I'm going to murder my dad. Those are the only things that matter to me. Everything else is subordinate to me doing that. It's possible. It just seems like you're extremely discounting of stuff that you have no knowledge of. It's like, I disbelieve this. Disbelieve what? I'm being ambiguous about it at best. I'm making this distinction between what I believe versus what I know. Making a clear distinction. It's like somebody saying they're a Christian, but they understand that the shit is bogus. Like in my case, I'm saying, I think I believe. It's like, put it this way. You experience something just based on your experiences, particularly when you're consistently experiencing over and over and over and over again. I don't dismiss the teapot, but I also don't take it seriously. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I give you that one. I took it as you were saying, the ridiculousness of the teapot being in space. It's like, but yeah, you're trying to discount the experience. It's almost like you're using it as a pejorative. Hindu concept of Maya. Maya is fascinating, but I have to be honest, I don't fully understand it. I feel like it should be asking right now. I agree, man. I agree. I need a, yeah, I agree. I agree. You know what's funny? We wanted to do this in Washington, D.C. It's legal in D.C. So it could be a real full-on 420. That was the code. But we're not there yet. The nature of illusion. There's an awesome YouTube thing on Maya, the nature of illusion, meaning this idea of who we are versus the mask that we wear. Like, I need another weird, a woo experience. When you're not in your physical body of sorts, you're different. You're slightly different. Like it's if I'm being honest. I had this experience where I had this conversation with my dad. And look, you can say it was subconscious and all that. That's fine, whatever. And we don't take it seriously until there's evidence. Falsification is part of the scientific method. Okay, I mean, that's fine. They don't believe. That's a problem. I mean, I get you. I feel you on that, but yeah, that's fine. It's context. It's your context. It's the way you view the world. That's fine. Points of view are relative. No, you miss what I'm saying. I don't think the scientific method is limited. I think the people who are using it is limited. I think those people have a certain level of bias when they're approaching something. And so that's where they go about it. Whatever I said that was pseudoscience, Tikaki or whatever your name is, whatever I said that's pseudoscience. Tell me, explain to me. Tell me. I want to know. I'm curious about this. What part is pseudo? You'll find a real train because of science. didn't ignore her. I didn't ignore her. I just was talking about her up there. You didn't hear me mention the belief thing? I literally just said it. I did not do a 180 to ignore it. My use of material and the enemy who binds us to it. Yeah, that's going to be deep. There's also an influence of money and politics and science. Yeah, that is true. But there is money in politics and science. I mean, I take these guys as being earnest. They function. You made falsifiability subjective. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means. You need a specific example if that's the case. If Jack, boom, you need something very specific. Oh, yeah, dude, you're stuck in the same spot of prove it. You mean this? The ship? Yeah. Again, you have to, that was, the photo and everything else is legit. Now, whatever it is, it's a different thing. Climate deniers. Well, that's different. I mean, like I told you, I give science all the credit in the world for physical matter reality. Climate is physical matter reality 101. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. my bad. I didn't know. My bad. I saw the woman on the front. I was like, oh, well, I think it's female. My bad. I'm sorry. My bad. Well, yeah, of course, because being paid to contradict one another. And look, science is not. Climate deniers are annoying. They are. I mean, and it's annoying. One of those things of. I think I've said it before. Physical matter reality. I give them the benefit of the doubt. Like it's one of those things of if I'm getting this many scientists saying, "Hey, this thing is real," and you can see it. Like you can literally look at the Earth and see it. It's a problem. I mean, it's one of those things where they just kind of completely stick their head in the sand. But you must understand, some of that becomes political. Like at the point where you have Republicans taking up the mantle, well, then the other Republicans, just antennas come up and they just fall in line, follow the alpha male in that sense. It becomes a political thing. Now you have all these people saying, I don't believe in climate change. Well, they don't know shit about the science of climate change. They haven't seen any of it. They don't believe it for political reasons, not because of real reasons. No, science, I know, it's done by groups. But verifiable experimentation over and over and over again. No, John Crab, that's based on your own technology. You don't know. Again, there's no way for you to know that. You have no way to know what the technology is. It's like saying a caveman sitting in a corner saying, well, there's no way to know what's going on the other side of the planet. It's impossible. It's impossible to know that. Cell phones. They could never conceive of the cell phone. Ignorance pays the bills. None of your business. Prevailing scientific acceptance bar. Oh, I don't know about that. That's a little strong. I don't think these guys are craven. I don't think these guys are craven, man. I think these guys have a context. I think you have that you're in, there's certain pressures associated with that organization. It's just the way it is. As software engineers, all of us use certain software. All of us tend to, function that way. It's just the way it is. Even scientists, they fall into the group thing. They have a professional thing. I give an example. John Mack. John Mack worked for Harvard. He was a Harvard scientist. He was a psychologist. Literally, Harvard psychologist. John Mack started to review alien abduction cases. Now, he never said they were being abducted. They said they were being abducted. He was just using it as research, saying, hey, there's a phenomenon here that should be investigated. Again, the same thing, I make this point of, there's a phenomenon here that should be honestly investigated. Do you know they tried to expel John Mack from Harvard? They literally tried to expel him from Harvard. They weren't concerned with the information. They weren't concerned with the research. It didn't matter. We don't like what you're saying, and they wanted to get rid of them. Oh man, Cat, I hope you're not being, oh God, I hope not. I hope not. Those people have to lose. Those people need to lose. And not just lose, I would make this case that if you're going to make the argument for them, that the argument needs to be freedom. It needs to be freedom. It needs to be not, see, liberals, progressives, we have this argument, or we make this thing where we do, it's like, hey, climate change is going to get you. Well, those people don't care about climate change. They care about the things in front of them. No, I don't say anything about Deepak Chopra. Again, you guys haven't said anything that I've said that was wrong. You've said nothing that I've said that was wrong or incorrect. Yeah, you guys have said nothing I've said that's incorrect. These are just bogus assaults meant to hurt my feelings. They don't touch me. I gotta be honest. It's because there's nothing here. There's nothing said. They say you should pick your degrees based on prestige, not based on the education. Well, it depends. It depends on the individual. Like, what the individual wants to accomplish is purely related to the individual. They do. No, they do. Tickle-act, they do. That's the sad part. This isn't working out the way I planned. Wait, is that a good thing or a bad thing, Fat? They are nano bubbles. They're terrifying, actually. They're absolutely terrifying. But here's a question. Is there a difference between somebody who's religious and political? Meaning, is an ideology just ideology? So if a person was a Christian, and that person has certain ideas and everything else that consider them a Christian, couldn't you say the same thing about political ideology? Yes, I agree, John Crab. But not just that, in all states across the country, all progressives should not vote Democrat, period. You shouldn't vote Democrat. Don't give your vote away. In fact, I have a thing that I'm going to do for Tim Black tomorrow. Don't give your vote away. You should not vote for a Democrat. Scorched earth. I swear to God, you should burn that thing to the ground. There is no reason that any progressives should vote for a Democrat. They cheated. Your guy, man, that blows me away. They're literally in court right now. Literally in court, essentially saying we have the capacity to cheat when we want to cheat. We have the capacity to lie when we want to lie. It's amazing. That's an amazing thing to say. Like, do you realize how ridiculous your argument has to be to fall back to the position of, look, our bylaws are just political promise. And at any particular time, we can change that political promise. We can lie when we want to lie. Now, just because we reserve the right to lie does not mean we're lying in this particular case. And in case you catch us lying, you can't do anything about it. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. Science killed Jesus. That's why they don't like it. Science murdered Jesus. With science. It's not the Twilight Zone. It's not the Twilight Zone. I'm just saying. I think your reality is weirder than what you give it credit for. That's all. Fucking mealers. Fucking meal is brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal. Somebody gave me a downvote. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. That hurts. That's probably Paul Shipper. He gave me a downvote. It's like, how dare you? How dare you, sir? No, I think this went well. I think this went well. Dems are worse. Yes, Dems are worse. But you must understand why the Dems are worse. Democrats are worse because what they're supposed to represent and what they don't represent, if that makes sense. Like, you have a situation where Democrats are supposed to represent the 99%. They're supposed to represent the people. They don't represent the people. They don't represent the 99%, which means that the voice of that group has been lost. It's been lost. Yeah, they do, unfortunately. Pessimism is not a survival trait. Oh, you don't have to be convinced. You must understand that I'm not in that thing of I don't need to convince. I'm not there. That's not where I am. I'm just making a point that the footage is, believe it or not, footage is genuine. Now, you can make a case that what he's saying is not what he's saying, but the camera and all that stuff is genuine. The Turkish universities went over the footage and reviewed it. It's genuine. The question becomes, I put it this way. I'm more interested in the question of what it means than if it's real, because I think what it means is more interesting to me. Yeah, it is. It's divergent to their ideologies. These guys talk like FDR and they behave like Ronald Reagan. Republicans, when they're looking at them, they know they're lying to them. Yeah, that's exactly. They're better liars. Exactly. Fact. I agree. Full on agree. And yes, Garnome, I wouldn't be surprised. I would say look up T. Townsend Brown. That's one of the guys that they bring up in those UFO circles. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's the guy who they talk about anti-gravity and everything else. The text, yes, they are. They are. They've ripped the mask off. I've made this point before. It's like they rip the mask off. You're watching the Ghost Rider. You're seeing the flaming skull. I got to be honest. I would rather deal with the flaming skull. It's more genuine. It's more genuine. All right, guys. My back is beginning to hurt. To be honest, I'm getting tired. Look, I hope this went okay. I honestly hope this went okay. I hope I didn't bore you guys. I hope you guys had a good time. I hope the conversation went good. I know it was weird and off the wall, but that was the point of the 420 conversation. It's supposed to be weird and off the wall. You're not supposed to agree with me. Or you can agree with me or you can not agree with me. It doesn't matter. The whole point of it is conceptual. It's not the word of God. Do you have any booms you ever recommend? Oh, books I recommend reading. It depends. What are you trying to read? Like, are you trying to get into the more new agey stuff? Are you trying to get into more that science / new agey stuff? Are you trying to get into hardcore science? I just don't think they could do it, Garnome. I just don't know how. I don't put it this way. I don't think they could do it in an overt way. It would have to be clandestine. That's the catch. It would have to be clandestine. I'm not sure how. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. No, I don't feel bad, Christian Hall. My back is starting to hurt. And I do have one video to do. What's the thought experiment? Come on, give me the thought experiment. What's the thought experiment? John Crack, what you got? What you got? Thanks, Christian. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. I'm trying to, man, if I can get this in New York, I mean, not in New York, in either Colorado or Washington, D.C. Oh, man, amazing. I would break out, I'll bring out Bertha. Mind complete openness. I do not discriminate nor to disregard entities in any form, shape, or alpha. Really, that's true. Really, bully. Yeah, that's true. I agree. This is kind of what I mean when I say, like, I have this thing of yes, for the most. Oh yeah, I am doing a thought experiment. That's literally what I'm doing. Oh, the 420s are usually thought experiments. I've heard that too, Robert. The what's his name? I agree with the whole beings not discriminating thing. I agree. Ultimately, even if I did see another being, I just consider it another being. I wouldn't consider like whether it was non-physical or otherwise. It's just another being. I am a being. That's all it's being. As far as I saw it. When I mentioned in the other video, the whole meeting of the guide thing, whether it's my subconscious or not, ultimately, I saw it as this is another being. Yes, it freaked me out, totally freaked me out. She's out on the island too often. I like saying progressive. I like her. No, man, I like her. Like, put it this way. Yeah, I'm trying to organize in Richmond. I am. Because I want to have, we need a class rights movement. It needs to be class rights. I need to make a video because I need to talk about, Rappers kind of made this point of, you were trashing the People's Summit, and now you're going to the People's Summit. How dare you, sir? We worked hard for that. And I was like, all right, I'll answer that. I'll answer that. That's fine. I've reached out to Same Progressive. She's, yeah, I have reached out to Same Progressive. I don't think she wants to deal with me, if I'm being honest. I hit her up and I was like, hey, if you ever want to have a conversation, look, here's the thing. I love Same Progressive stuff. I really do. I love Debbie's stuff. I think she tends to be uncompromising. Now, that's good or bad, however you want to take it. And I say uncompromising, I don't mean it as a bad way, I just mean it as she seems to be uncompromising. So in this case, she trusted Sanders. Sanders betrayed her. That's the point. She betrayed her. And in betraying her, it pissed her off because at this point, it's, I trusted you, and now you essentially fucked me over. So I am angry at you. I think that's where a lot of her anger comes from in that sense. It's, oh, thanks, Ruli. Thank you. Like, so I think that's where a lot of it comes in. I think it's this thing of, I think she was distrustful of politics in general. I think in being distrustful of politics, she saw Sanders and she opened herself to Sanders. She was like, all right, this guy is saying he's trying to change things. Yes, he's trying to change things. I'm right there with him. I'm going to stomp for him. I'm going to send money to him. I am going to be a soldier for him. I am going to be a Bernie crat. That's what I'm going to do. And then he started getting, he was cheated. And her honest question was, wait a minute, you're being cheated. All these people are sending you money. What the hell are you doing? Why aren't you defending these people who are cheating you? I mean, because ultimately, you're our avatar. You're our voice. You're the person who we're putting up. You're our champion. And as our champion, if you're not going to say anything, what are you going to do? You're going to go from state to state to state. You're going to continue to collect all this money, and you're not going to say anything about being cheated? You can understand why she's pissed. No, I think at one point she did. I think at one point she did. You saw her crying for a murder. That's wrong, man. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's so wrong. That's so wrong. I mean, I think she's a personality where she's just, I think it's integrity. I honestly think it's integrity. I think she's gotten to the point where she's like, I'm sick of this shit. I don't want to be bothered with the shit. If these people aren't going to do what they're supposed to do, they're not functioning with the level of integrity, I don't want to be bothered. I think that's where her stance is. Now, here's the difference. I understand that stance. I agree with that stance up until a point. I am a chess player. So ultimately, when I play the game, I look at this thing as I have to give something to get something. Now, the question becomes, what do you give? My red lines coincide with a lot of Same Progressive red lines. So oftentimes we lean towards the side. I think she's more intense than I am in some of this stuff, but I think we lean towards the same side. Our demarcation point becomes action. It's like being pure is okay, but you need action. You got to get something done. Otherwise, you're just pure sitting in a corner. I don't want to be pure sitting in a corner. There are no ideal circumstances. Ultimately, you got to do something. You have to organize. You have to, man, you have to marshal your troops. You got to rally the goddamn sons. You have to do something. You can't just sit there and not do anything. Being pure is okay, but it's not enough. It's like, yes, nobody should vote for a Democrat. I agree with that part. But at the same token, those people need to vote for somebody because you need somebody in that office. I would argue you need a people's movement. Once you have a movement, people will spring up, but it has to be a people's movement. That's what I would argue. So yes, I agree with her. Yes, she's right. Oh, on that last point, I'm like, oh man, your integrity is too much for me. You got to do something. You got to do something. Yeah, she never cried for Sanders. I don't believe that. I think he's joking. He's joking. He's joking. And yeah, they ignored her. They did ignore her. But the whole thing, she was pissed. She was immensely pissed. And I can understand why she's pissed. You've seen some of my videos on Sanders. Like, it's weird, man. It's one of those things of, I don't know who she is. Caitlin Johnstone? I have to check her out. Yeah, I'll check her out. Yeah, man, it's weird. I get immensely angry when we're talking about the DNC. At the same token, I get immensely angry when we're talking about what Sanders is doing. And because understand the situation to which we find ourselves. The DNC is being taken to court for cheating Sanders. At the exact same time, Sanders is trying to get people in the Democratic Party. What the fuck? What is that? What is that? Yeah, it's like, what is that? Yeah, it's like, what is that? It's like how you have your soldiers out there fighting on your behalf, and you're functioning with the goddamn machine. I can understand why she's pissed. I can understand why she's pissed. I don't like that either. I honestly don't like it either. Yeah, I understand why she's pissed. I don't blame her at all. I don't blame her one iota about being pissed. I was pissed too. Well, I think somehow somebody started a stream of those plans. God, no, that's messed up. I haven't started it over though. I haven't started over. CJ is a truth teller. I check her out. I check her out. I see what she's about. Caitlin Johnstone. Yeah, I check her out. It's funny. I've been seeing more of the YouTubers. Like what's her name? Heidi Siegler, LB the Realist. There's another guy, Bob TV. I've been seeing all of the other ones. I've tried to join up with a lot of these guys. Of course, Tim Black. I have a segment for him tomorrow. That's potentially true. But come on. So Christy Brown, give him the benefit of the doubt. I understand the feeling about TYT. Yeah, I understand. I get it. But give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they're not just functioning that way. Let's say that you're trying to start a party and you say to yourself, in order to start a party, I have to take X amount of money all across the United States. I don't want to use my money that way. The Democrats have just lost an election. They have lost a major election. They are embarrassed all across the country, all across the state. They've lost power. Can't you see from a particular reference frame of it's easier to take that party than it is to start over? I can see that. Like, I don't necessarily think that's all that crazy. That makes sense to me as a position. So I don't necessarily give bad intentions to what they're doing. Yeah, I don't give them bad intentions to what they're doing. Now, that being said, I don't like what they're doing. I think it's a horrible idea to mix a media organization with a political organization. Right now, you have the situation where they're putting up, what, 2 or 3 candidates. And they're putting up 2 or 3 candidates. Now they're supporting those candidates. So you have Jimmy Dore, who's looked on with a certain amount of credibility, supporting the candidate. Is Jimmy Dore supporting the candidate because he's affiliated with TYT, or is Jimmy Dore supporting the candidate because he likes the candidate? You see my problem? Like, you have a situation where the people themselves, it's a reporting organization, it's a media organization. Expect honesty from a media organization backing up their candidate. Fucking crazy. Same Progressive was absolutely right when she was criticizing him on this point. And she's right. They should direct directly. You shouldn't give it to TYT. I mean, you have this thing where they're constantly asking for money. It's oh God, it's gross. It's fucking gross. At the end of my videos, if you like, share, subscribe, etc., etc., I do that. Making the content takes so much time. And if I can get to the point where I'm not doing full-time job and content, my life is better for it. I can focus more so on the movement itself, like trying to create a class rights thing, a movement. I am going to try to have a thing in August. I'm serious about this. I'm impatient. I'm impatient by nature. And when I look at this stuff, I say to myself, this can change. This is a choice. It just needs to be organized. If it's organized a particular way, if it's harnessed a particular way, if I'm clever enough, if I'm awesome enough, yeah, maybe we can change it. I think it takes a movement. I don't think it takes putting some person in office, though. I don't think it's as simple as, I'm going to be a Justice Democrat and I'm going to put Justice Democrats in office. I don't think it works that way. We're talking about a fundamental rewrite of what that government is, how it behaves. Our capitalistic system needs to change. I'm saying Justice Democrats doesn't touch it. Bernie Sanders doesn't touch it. You need a movement. You need a lot of people essentially coming out saying, we're tired of this. We're no longer going to live in this particular situation. I am a human being. I have worth. That worth should be espoused in law. It should be that simple. It really should. It should not be the situation where people are being subordinate to this unreal thing. This is fucking ridiculous. Under what situation where this imaginary product makes the determination of whether or not a person will eat, a person will sleep, or where they will sleep, whether they have clothes on their back. It directly attacks frailty, who we are as people. It subordinates us in some way, filtering who we are into these cogs in a goddamn machine. We're more than us. We're more than us. And any particular political party that's going to go after it needs to go after that aspect. Like it needs to go balls out, full well understanding that the problem is capitalism, but taking one plank of it at a time to attack it. Essentially, yes, we're going to have a universal basic income. We're going to get rid of poverty, period. We're not dicking around. We're going to get rid of poverty. Yes, we're going to have unemployment or employment guarantee from the federal government. Yes, that employment guarantee is going to come with minimum wage that's around $12, $13 an hour, meaning any other job that's in the country, it's going to have to raise that wage. Otherwise, those people are going to leave that job. We can attack the system with one policy at a time. The policies will make sense because capitalism does not make fucking sense. That's my point. Yeah, he's a little intense. HA gets a little intense. In fact, progressives gets intense on this stuff too. Issue focus, but no, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. What I mean, Christy, is, look, I'm a leftist. I've said this before. If you're going to be a leftist, be a leftist. If you're going to be a leftist, be a leftist. None of this petty stuff. I'm sick of this hamster wheel. Stop this hamster wheel. It's like these guys are putting policy to go back to FDR. The New Deal. Why do you need a new Deal? Did they ever ask that question? Why do you need a new Deal? And ultimately, the New Deal was to save capitalism. We're not trying to save capitalism. That's not the job. That's not the goal. The goal is to overturn the system. Nothing gets done until you overturn the system. You hate Mondays, not because Monday is a bad day. You hate Mondays because you got to get up and go to fuck to work. Many of these jobs are pointless. Many of these jobs are pointless. They're irrelevant. Do you believe that your worth as a person, whether you believe in the spiritual thing or whether you believe in just physical matter reality, whether you're an atheist, whatever you are, do you honestly believe that you were put on this planet to work, to be a cog in the wheel? Do you? Do you honestly believe that the best expression of who you are is being a cog in a wheel? Whatever that cog is, whatever that wheel is, do you honestly believe that that's the highest aspiration of who you are? It's not. It's not. The question becomes, do we have the technology to free ourselves of this experience? Yes, we do. We can automate all sorts of processes. In capitalism, it's called disruptive automation or disruptive technologies. It's only disruptive in capitalism. It's only disruptive in the model. The problem is the model. The problem is not the technologies. It's aggravating to me because ultimately this world doesn't have to be this way. We're stuck in this fucking model that subordinates people to who they are. Nobody wants to be a fry cook. There's no reason for a fry cook to exist. And yet you have somebody who needs to pay for their kids, to pay for food, to pay for a house, to pay for whatever. And so they have to subordinate themselves to a shitty restaurant or shitty fast food place, selling food to people that's going to give those people cancer at some point while making $7, $8 an hour, wearing a goddamn hat and doing fries. Do you believe the fullest expression of that particular person is a fry cook? Do you honestly believe that? That particular person, the fullest expression of who that person is a fry cook. That person is being subordinated, not because they want to be, but because the system itself compels them to behave that way. It's a goddamn shame. Nobody wants to. It's almost like saying you can work on a plantation, but you can choose your plantation, but you're going to work on a plantation. You're like, well, wait a minute. Do we have scarcity? No, we don't. You still need to work though. But we don't have scarcity. Why the fuck am I working like that? Why? Why? There's socially necessary labor. That's true. But not all labor is socially necessary. Meaning, much of that stuff can be automated. If you're going to have a party, if you're going to be a leftist party, your focus should be on freedom. Period. Real freedom. Not that libertarian shit that they have in the United States. Freedom. We want the freedom of the individual. Period. That is our basis. That is our political stance. Meaning one policy after another is going to be set to free the individual from these capitalistic bonds of sorts. We want emancipation. I want a situation when you wake up in the morning, you make the choice on what you want to do. I want the case where the society supports you in that choice. Meaning I want you to be the full actualization of who you are. Of who you are. Whatever that is. Whatever you want that to be. When you wake up in the morning, I want your society to help you do that. Now, yes, you ain't work until you're 30, 35, but that's a hell of a lot better than work until you're 60. And if the government takes the opportunities, okay, we're going to automate one process after the other. You can do it through policy. You can do it through policy. Like, this is not crazy policy. Ultimately, if you get in office, you're a leftist. You say, okay, poverty is an issue. And ultimately, these people who are in poverty are not paying attention to politics because they're so focused on just getting their basic needs met. They don't care about politics. They just want to get their needs met. Fine. Universal basic income. Everybody gets a certain amount. And you're going to say, how are we going to pay for it? I'll tell you how we're going to pay for it. We're going to make the argument. Where did the resources come from? Where did the resources come from? Ultimately, yes, I do. I do. I want fulfillment woven into society. Yes, I do. I want the human to be recognized. That's true. I think the point should be humanity, not capital. If you're in a capitalistic system, capital is the highest virtue of that system. Everything is subordinate to capital. Meaning that if you're a human being in that particular system, you're subordinate to it unless you yourself have capital. Meaning the people in that system with the most money, for the most part, control that particular system. They control the political apparatus. They control the economic apparatus. The rules, all those things are rigged to face workers. Those things are used to suppress workers. I'm saying that if you're going to have a movement, if you're going to have a movement of people, you make the determination that says, okay, we're going to change that model. We're going to make that model work for the individual. And I'm saying you can make policy to do that. A universal basic income starts off doing that. Starts off doing that. Federal job guarantee does that. You eliminate poverty. You eliminate the desperation that's in these people. You can raise the cap on the Social Security thing, meaning more people can get more money with regards to Social Security. You can have one policy after the next. You can institutionalize society worker co-ops, meaning any policy or any business that the government is going to work with, it prioritizes worker co-ops over the other businesses. I'm not a fry cook. I never. If you see me in a porn video, let me know. I want to know. It was like, that's not my hat, man. That's not my hat. Yeah, it could have been. I think it could have been. I think he tried. I don't think he didn't try. I mean, like for instance, I'm going to do my damnedest to try to get something going. I may fail at that. But I'm going to try. I'm saying they're doing the best they can. They're not, I don't think they're necessarily, man, I don't know enough about them. Right, social ownership, that's true. You know, I would say, where did the resources come from? That would damn sure be an argument I'd make. I'd say the resources of this country, meaning the resources that are being taken all across this country, should have a dividend associated with it, meaning that dividend should get back to each and every person who's part of this country. If a company is going to steal those resources, which I make the case of stolen because nobody gave them to them, the government, in order to get them, had to take them from somebody else. I'm saying those resources belong to each and every one of us. I want to help you get something going with the new party. It's not about the party, man. It's about a movement. I mean, there's a slight difference. I know what you mean. Like, ultimately, yes, I would want to turn into that. But the first step, in my mind, I have stages to the idea, but the first step is organizing a central core. That's the first step. I'm going to invite a bunch of people to the one in August to try to create a core, just this group of people for the most part, and then expand the base, expand the base, expand the base. But that's my point. I'm trying to avoid that spread out. In fact, in my head, it's a woven system of all across the United States. All these people voting in a certain amount of unison, meaning if you're not part of this box, you don't get elected. The beauty of this is it constrains Republicans also. A Republican can be a part of that box if they choose to do so. A Democrat can choose to be a part of that box if they choose to do so. The catch is they need to be a part of this box, meaning the society itself comes and says, as a movement, all of us, this is what we want. If you're not following these lines, you're not getting our votes, period. I am. J1H, yeah, I am. I've been doing it for several years. The 420 party, oh man. Oh man, that'd be a tits. That'd be a tits. Hey, bullshit man, what's up? McClinton. Oh, you guys came in late. You guys came in late. That's true. My issues, yeah. I don't give a shit about party. Honestly, don't. I totally agree with Rand Paul on the whole prison thing. I totally agree with Rand Paul on the whole pot thing. Totally agree with him on the foreign militarism thing. I do not agree with him on destroying all his government services and everything else. I don't care about the party. I don't care about the party. I honestly believe that for the most part, when you talk to the people of the country, independents and everything else, those people are for the most part to the left. If you get those people and get those people to vote in unison, you can change this country. It may not be to the degree that I would want to change, but it would be a hell of a change. Hi, JMC. A 420 party is a great week. It has a ring to it, all right. It has a ring to it. Gonna fuck around, get locked up. Bullshit man makes good vids too. Oh, you make vids. I'm gonna have to check you out. I'm gonna have to check you out. Christian wife versus, not opposites, parallel, evil fight both. Bull has a wife YouTube show. Diesel Dez. Welcome back, Diesel Dez. All right, guys, it's almost 8:30. I'm gonna turn in. My wife was nice enough to stop and give me some blue crabs. I'm gonna tear those things up. Single payer is good too. Medicare for all. And this is, God damn it, this is what aggravates me about Obama. When Obama took office, he came in with the wind at his back. They literally thought he was going to be a goddamn progressive messiah. They thought he was going to be FDR. They honestly did. They looked at it and said, his race is different. He doesn't sound like any other president. He doesn't look like, he doesn't even have the name of another president. He's completely foreign to us. The man is going to go into that office. He's going to do some awesome foreign shit. He was essentially Bush. He kept the Bush policies. He kept the Bush policies. So, yeah. Yeah, blue crabs are awesome. I love them. My mom had me cracking those things when I was like, love them. Absolutely love them. And I'm in Virginia, so this is our thing. Virginia, Maryland. Unite and push right. A movement, man. I honestly believe a movement. But here's the problem with just putting politicians in office. How do you control them? Like, how do you control them? Like, the moment that you get them in office, what are you using to control those politicians? The reason why FDR put those policies in for the New Deal, there were socialists. There were people on his ass, like, to the left. They were just coming out of the Great Depression, and FDR thought he was going to lose it all. He thought he was going to lose it all. So, oh, thanks, bullshit man. I love that name, bullshit man. I love that. I love that. Thanks, guys. Yeah, man. Guys, I appreciate this. I hope it wasn't too bad. I know the topics were off the wall, like the UFO thing. I think we had a good conversation going though. I mean, Fat and everybody else totally was commenting on it. I think it went well. I think it went well. I'm gonna do another one of these. So I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. God bless. If you don't believe in God, I don't necessarily think I believe in God. Actually, I don't believe in anything in a sense. I fall down on it. I don't know. So I'm just going to say, God bless and good night. God bless is just at that point just a natural saying. All right, guys, have a good one. And by the way, NM, thank you. I appreciate it. I saw the thing. So good looking out. All right, guys. Thank you.